The Ruia's controlled Essar Group, finally after months of negotiation, indeed has completed its 12.9 billion deal to sell majority of stake in Essar Oil to a consortium led by Russian oil giant Rosneft and Singapore-based Trafigura and UCP. What does this infusion of close to 80,000 crore plus mean for the Essar Group in terms of servicing their debt? Also, what does it mean for the balance sheets of other group companies? And what is going to be the future for other verticals of Essar Group companies? To discuss all that and much more in detail, we have with us none other than the promoter himself, Mr. Prashant Ruia. Mr. Ruia, thanks for sparing this time and speaking to me now.
Thank you.
I don't remember last speaking to you, you had completely not giving any interviews. After a year, I believe you have decided to come for the interview.
Well, I'm here now, so let's...
Yeah. Prashant, if I could ask you, finally we all know this deal, touted as the largest FDI inflow into the country, is finally concluded. It's not been an easy journey for you. It had its own ups and downs. Now that finally this deal is over, we all know you have on record saying close to 70,000 crores would be used to service your or repay your debt. Do you want to set the record straight and demystify the max behind this deal, and what does this mean for the group and the way you will service your debt?
So, which I think firstly, this is not so much only about debt, right? It's about the ability of the Essar Group to create an asset from scratch. In 1995, when we started Essar Oil, in fact, we did our first IPO back in 1995. At that time, the market cap or the market value of Essar Oil was about 2,000 crores. And now, as you know, we have just announced the final price at which the deal will get concluded, which is at about a 75 rupee premium to the 262 rupee delisting price. That values the company, the equity value of the company, at about 50,000 crores. So to us, this signifies our ability to build assets, greenfield assets, create value, and then be in a position to attract global investors and who can then participate in the Indian growth story. We've done it before. We've done it in the telecom space when we initially brought in Hutchison, and then it was Vodafone, which is now Vodafone in India. And in that transaction, that we brought in Vodafone, and the total value of their FDI of their investment was about $18 billion, but in two tranches. And now we've done this. So I think this is, to me, what signifies really who we are and what we are really good at. The debt repayment is a corollary for us. Clearly, we have already been very open about it. Our total debt reduction is about 70,000 crores, of which nearly 50,000 crores goes to the Indian banks, and the rest goes to the international banks. And in total, about 36,000 crores of this is repaid, and the rest gets transferred to the new shareholders. So those are the numbers. It's fairly simple. This is the single largest deleveraging ever done in Indian corporate history, and this is also the first time that shareholders, retail shareholders, individual shareholders, are getting rewarded nearly 2 years after the company has been delisted.
That's where I just wanted to get a clarity. As you're rightly saying, whatever the retail shareholders have already got, this 75 rupees per share would be given to the retail shareholders now, even after the whole delisting process is completed, as you had decided and discussed with market regulator SEBI.
Yes.
So this is an announcement that you are making after the closure of the deal yesterday.
Yes, this is an announcement we made today. It took us a day to get for our advisors to come out with the final numbers, and that's what we have done. And this provides about a 30% premium to what the delisting price was, of 262 rupees.
And what would be your net outgo towards
the net outgo? I think is about 880 odd crores
this
of
is
rupees.
Over and above what?
Over and above the 3,000 odd crore rupees which was given at the time of delisting.
Okay. Prashant, now if I could come to Essar Oil, as you said, you along with the guidance of your father has built this whole refinery brick by brick. I have visited
And
the
my,
refinery.
and my uncle, my father and my
uncle.
Yeah.
I have visited this refinery,
Right.
seen this. What is that you decided that the decision will be taken to and that the majority of the stake will be sold? Even now you hold close to a 2% in the with the new partners. But when is that decision was taken that it's time that we monetize this asset?
No, obviously the decision was taken some time back because we entered into an agreement with Rosneft and Trafi on 15th of October of last year at on the sidelines of the BRICS summit. So that was the time when it was finally documented, the sale purchase agreement. And obviously the decision took place a little bit before that when we started the detailed discussions with Rosneft and Trafi. And our philosophy, Vijay, has always been as a group to build assets from scratch, nurture them, and take them to international scale, and then look at opportunity to monetize them. And as I said, we've done this before in our telecom business. We are doing it now in our oil business. We believe that the value was right, and we believe that the future growth and expansion which the company needs is best done with new shareholders. And we are very, very happy that Rosneft and Trafi have come in as our new shareholders, and I'm sure they will add significant growth to the company, just like Vodafone has done to the telecom business in the last 5-6 years since we have exited to them.
Prashant, if I could ask you, this has been asked to you several times in the last so many months and even yesterday. This 2% that you are going to hold in this new setup, would you continue to hold that? Is there a time frame that you have decided you would hold, or you would be, depending on the valuations, ready to exit?
No, frankly it's really not such a material issue. The consortium of Trafigura and UCP asked us to stay invested with 2% of their stake. We have done that, and we will go with the consortium and do whatever they would like us to do, because in any case for us it's not a very material investment.
And other two aspects of the deal, if you could throw some light, which everyone was trying to understand or demystify today once again, was on the whole of non-compete as well as the usage of Essar brand. So is there any time frame where Essar brand would be used, any royalties would be given, and of course on the whole issue of non-compete?
So the non-compete is for 3 years. So basically we have a non-compete for 3 years. We continue to be in the oil and gas business internationally with our Essar Oil UK refinery, and we continue to be in India in the E&P exploration production business and the coal bed methane business, which we have retained from Essar Oil. So those two continue, but for refining and marketing in India, there's a 3 years non-compete. As regards the brand, we are very happy that Rosneft and Trafi have elicited to retain the brand, in Essar brand, along on the retail, on the entire retail network. We believe it's a strong brand. We believe the network has been built significantly over the last 2-3 years, and they have also announced significant growth in the retail network going forward. How long they continue the brand is really up to them. That's a decision which they will have to arrive at. And as for us, we are happy that they continue to utilize the brand, and whatever brand fees were being paid earlier to Essar, that basically continues.
Okay. Prashant, before I could get into the other verticals individually of Essar Group, if I could ask you now, with this deal getting over, do you think the worst, particularly the challenging times that you went through, is over for the group? And also, does this mean that you are in a position that you would be negotiating better with the banks, particularly on the whole issue of Essar Steel, which we all know is pending in NCLT? So the worst is over, and clearly things will fall into place as far as the steel vertical is concerned for you now?
So, I would not want to categorize it like that. Yes, we've had a challenging period over the last 2-3 years, principally because some of the contracts which we signed for natural resources like natural gas and coal got cancelled. So basically, Essar Steel was affected by the cancellation of its natural gas, which was its primary fuel or primary source as feedstock for the gas-based sponge iron plant which we set up, and that affected our production and that affected the company in a very material way. So those were the reasons, but fine, we went through a challenging period, and now I'm happy to say that our capital investment program is complete. Those issues are largely behind us. Coal is now, the mines which got cancelled, coal is now available from alternate sources like Coal India, etc. And natural gas is now available from alternate sources, which basically we are importing LNG. So we've addressed those issues. We've completed our projects. We've ramped up capacities. We've completed a overall capital investment program of about 1.2 lakh crores, and now we are looking, with this transaction also completed, we are looking forward to a much better and a much stronger future, obviously with a delevered balance sheet.
And also, does that mean, yes, we all know that, as you had also come out in public and said, the reality is that you are in NCLT in the RBI list, but now with things in place, the realistic timeline of 120 days that NCLT has, you are confident of completing and working and completing that?
Well, as I said, I don't want to get too much into it because we are in a regulatory court process. But what I would say is our ability to invest and our ability to provide a strong resolution plan is significantly better now than before because of the significant deleveraging which has taken place on our balance sheet. So we look forward to getting this process completed as quickly as possible, restructuring the company and moving ahead.
Prashant, if my numbers were right, Essar Oil contributed close to 25% when it comes to the overall group revenues. Now with the jewel no more there in your kitty, what is going to be your roadmap? What is going to be your plans? Steel, ports, power, how it's going to be?
So Jay, I mean, clearly Essar Oil has been a fantastic company which has grown and created significant value over the last 2 decades. And that was the same with telecom. So we as a group have focused on creating value, and if you take the telecom business which we exited, we had about a 10x exit from the time we invested to the time we exited. Essar Oil has been about a 4x exit, with the market cap going up from 2,000 to 50,000 over the last 2 decades. We see the same opportunity in the rest of our portfolio. It's not that some of these companies were also looking significantly lower values when the cycles were down. So telecom went through its own period of difficulty. The oil business has been through a period of very low refining margins and difficulty in the 2010, 11, 12 period. At that time, people did not see these kind of values. That's part of the process in a commodity infrastructure business where markets are moving up and down. So to answer the question, we are extremely excited with the rest of the portfolio. We believe that significant value exists, and we are going to invest and grow the rest of the portfolio to create that value going forward.
If I could ask you, is your primary capex cycle over in the various verticals that you would be into, or what is it going to be like? And in these businesses, how do you see your revenue pies shaping up perhaps in the next 5 years? And also we need to mention that downstream you are still there in UK with one of the biggest refineries.
The capital cycle is pretty much completed. As I said, the 1.2 lakhs. Some of the projects which were completed are just getting commissioned. So over the next 2-3 months, certainly before the end of this year, it will be completed in all respects. But the majority of the funds have already been, invested. So from an investment perspective, the capital cycle is largely completed. And so we are now looking at growth in terms of bringing all these assets and sweating these assets, in the next few years, and looking at brownfield expansions and brownfield growth as we go ahead. That includes in the Essar Oil UK asset, where we've invested close to $800 million since we acquired the asset to upgrade it, improve the environmental standards and safety standards, and increase the efficiency of the asset.
Where do you see the revenues of the group as a whole?
The group revenues are in the current year after Essar Oil would be about $15 billion.
That's in FY18 years.
In FY18. And I mean, we have not put a specific number to it, but we are looking at growth from these numbers going forward.
And Prashant, if I could ask you in terms of, do we see any more monetization happening in the existing verticals? Maybe perhaps just a minority stake sale or monetization happening in any of your businesses? How do you see that?
No, I think we've said that principally the way we see it, the consolidation program which we had and the monetization program which we had is largely completed now, and we are looking at growth going forward in our portfolio. So we don't really see the need to do any other monetization at this point of time in our portfolio.
And any plans of these verticals, say perhaps getting listed somewhere down the line? Any plan or not for that, or time being you say, let's live it, we'll enjoy the moment?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I was going to tell you. Nothing is planned at this point of time. As I said, we need to get these businesses to mature a little bit more. We've just completed our capex cycle, and then we'll see what's the best course of action.
At the group level, after all this, where would your revenue stand, and how would your EBITDA or your debt be at the group level?
So the group revenues are, as I said, around $15 billion in the current year, and the group EBITDA we are expecting to be in the region of $2 to $2.5 billion for the whole year, for the financial year currently, and then we'll see where it goes in the future.
Okay, Prashant, if I could ask you, clearly last couple of years has been challenging for the corporate world as a whole for various reasons. Although there have been many policy initiatives, but because of the sheer balance sheets that the corporates were having, NPAs cropped up. What were the big learnings, maybe for the corporates or for the policymakers, from what India witnessed in the last 2 to 3 years? And do you think as a whole the worst is over for the economy and we see corporate spending once again picking up?
So clearly, I think some of the sectors which got affected, I mean, companies get into difficulty for different reasons. But in India, at least in some of the sectors, some of the companies or majority of the companies have got into difficulty, not entirely because of their own decisions or not entirely because of their own actions. So some of the regulatory decisions which have been made in the last few years, principally in the last couple of years of the previous government, and then not necessarily by the government but also by the courts, did leave many of the sectors and many of the companies facing challenges which they could not have foreseen. Cancellation of gas contracts, cancellation of coal linkages, cancellation of coal mines, cancellation of environment approvals on a retrospective basis, right-of-way concerns which face the the highway industry. So those kind of issues were faced by many companies, and many of the companies who are needing a restructuring are companies which have been affected by these things. The government, the current government has taken a lot of steps to set right many of these issues which have hurt the industry, with policies which will ensure that these kind of things do not happen in the future. Plus, in the last few years, capital investment in these sectors has been fairly low, and the demand continues to grow in India. And so, yes, in the next few years, with these issues behind us, with the restructuring getting resolved of many of these companies, with stronger balance sheets which corporates will have, I think the investment cycle will come back, but it still might take another year or two before you will start seeing the full impact of that investment cycle, which will for India. I'm again talking only about the core sectors, which is which we are involved in. On the other side, on the retail sector, on the retail side, on the consumer side, obviously there's been significant growth, and those markets remain extremely strong as what the capital markets are reflecting.
As an industrialist or the oldest corporate house of the country, the one issue that we know has been spoken at length for the last months together, the whole issue of NPAs. Where do you see the big learnings are for the banks as well as for the corporates, that perhaps down the line from 10 years from now we don't witness such a situation again? Because we all know the state of affairs of banks' balance sheet.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the learnings, I mean, as I said, some of the issues which is the reason for which we are seeing these NPAs was because of policies which were not clear. As I said, those have been corrected now, and I don't believe it, and the new policies are in a transparent, public manner, which will ensure that, hopefully which will ensure that in the future, if investments are made in these sectors, these kind of problems are not faced by the investors coming forward. And that should be that, and to ensure that that is done in an open and transparent manner, which will provide comfort both to the investors and to the banks, because they have also been affected largely by things which they could not have foreseen. And hopefully that will provide a much more conducive and a positive environment for all of us to invest, because India is still at a very early stage. I mean, we are still about 20% of Chinese consumption, and we are clearly on a growth trajectory which is now higher than even China, and so next few years we hope that things will be
perhaps
significantly
the biggest
better.
strength consumption story.
That is the biggest attraction for India, and that's also the main attraction why Rosneft and Trafigura came to India.
Yeah. Prashant, my last two questions, I know you need to rush out. If bankers are listening to this interview, what is that Prashant Ruia wants to tell them?
Well, I'm happy for their support. I'm happy for all the support which the banks have provided us, which has been provided us the ability to build these world-class assets. And we've honored our commitment. We made a decision 2 years back. We've honored our commitment, we look forward to a strong future together.
And soon their balance sheets will be ringing.
I don't know what more we can do, but yeah.
Prashant, lastly, if I could touch upon this issue, I'm touching this because primarily your company was a promoter-driven company. You got in professionals to run your various verticals. You have restructured. Of lately, we are seeing a lot of skirmishes when it comes to companies which was perhaps run by professionals, by promoters, professionals getting in. We all know what happened in the house of Tatas. The whole issue of corporate governance, as a promoter, how do you look at it?
Well, I'm not an expert to comment on
Surely from your experience
on this. I think relationships have to be managed. It doesn't matter whether it's between a corporate owner, entrepreneur, and the professionals. That's something which one has to manage, and it could be between two professionals. It could be between a professional and an entrepreneur, or it could be between a founder and a professional. It's the same. At the end of the day, it comes down to relationships, and ensuring that everybody is aligned in the interest of the company or at the interest of the group is ultimately what will ensure success. That's been the age-old philosophy. I'm not telling you anything new, and sometimes if it doesn't work, well then some
the changing phase of corporate India, perhaps. The transitions that we are seeing primarily from promoter-driven company to more professional-driven.
I mean, all companies, all large groups have become extremely professional, and the corporate governance standards which have been laid down in India today are amongst the highest anywhere in the world, and so we are all falling in line and are aligned to providing the highest levels of corporate standards for companies going forward.
Prashant, once again, thanks a lot. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
So this was Prashant Ruia, promoter of Essar Group, speaking to us and laying out the roadmap for the group going forward. Hope you enjoyed this interview. Thank you for watching ET Now.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/etnow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at @etnowlive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/etnow.